The 49ers had us at this. John Lynch today on Brock Purdy.
Brock's cleared and ready to go. He's been cleared. He's going to be without restrictions. Now, having said that, we're sticking and we're adhering to a plan that's been put in place for some time. He got after it the last couple of days. We upped his pitch count, so it was kind of the peak of the buildup, and so he'll take off day one. But we believe in that plan, so he's cleared without restriction. There will be some time off, due to pitch count and all that. Sticking to the plan. But the great news is Brock has worked his tail off, and he's ready to go.
I mean, it's really, to me, it's a stunning turn of events to hear them say that on July 25th. I think that all signs have been pointing forward for a long time as far as things going well with Brock Purdy's rehab. But with what we knew, admittedly, that was not much, but with what we knew and the history of this injury and what doctors had said, there have been questions all along. Even those who were the biggest Brock Purdy supporters, the most that we could say was he's starting week one if he's ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be ready to go. But for the 49ers to literally say, yeah, he's practicing today and will practice again on Thursday, like in July, I don't think anybody, at least no one I talked to, thought that's the way that this was going to sound or play out. Avoid the PUP list completely. And in theory, now I'm sort of expecting to see him in maybe even multiple preseason games.
Right, more than just the third preseason game that we talked about. And now you start to think about maybe joint practice with the Raiders and then the first preseason game, which is against the Raiders. Maybe he will have a normal preseason load of, one series in the opener and maybe a quarter or a quarter and a half in game two and then a cup of coffee in game three. But it feels like he's going to be fully ready to go come September.
And then I think we kind of glazed over this earlier when we talked about all this stuff. Kyle Shanahan said this because some people are stuck on he's still on a pitch count. He's still going to take every third day off. Okay, so when, in theory, would things just be normal? Listen to Kyle Shanahan.
I mean, I think the goal is a couple weeks from now. I haven't looked that far past. We won't change that till that happens, and as long as it keeps staying on the course, then I'll eventually go all the days. But
all right, a couple of weeks from now. Today is July 25th. A couple of weeks from now is August 8th.
Yeah.
That is still more than a month away from the start of the season. It is as things are just getting started on the preseason schedule, and Kyle Shanahan is sitting here going, full go, no restrictions, no holding back, no nothing in a couple of weeks. August 8th.
Exciting, which is only about 5 months, not even 5 months post-op from when he had the surgery. And we all were concerned, I know I was, in March where he waited to have the surgery. He waited a full month after the Super Bowl to have the surgery, and then he had it, and we all thought, okay, 6 months getting back, that puts him right about at week one, and man, he probably won't be ready for week one. Is it Trey for the first couple, or maybe Sam Darnold gets a couple, or what are they going to do, and can Brock be ready by October 1st? And now we're looking at the end of July, and he's already throwing, and he's practicing, and he's just on a pitch count, but he's trending toward being ready in a couple of weeks. My God.
So here's where it gets interesting. Okay, Kyle, so we can just assume that Brock Purdy will be getting first-team reps, right?
he will when he's out there. The throwing plan's a little different. We're never going to have him go 3 days in a row. And so, like, today he threw just with his schedule from the weekend and everything. So today he threw, so tomorrow he won't practice. So the other guys will do the same thing as OTAs. They'll both go with the ones. And then Brock will have practices 2 and 3 to go. Then he'll take the next one off. So keep going that way.
Okay, so when he's out there, he's the one. The other guys will split the ones when Brock is not there. Let's dive a little further in because that's what everybody is thinking about and talking about. Shanahan expanded on the plan for Trey and Sam Darnold when Brock is not at practice.
Most likely, we're going to go through that this afternoon as the coaches. So that is most likely what we're going to do, but hope you guys allow me to change my mind. I don't know if we do it differently, but we'll make sure it's even for them, whether we split it up that one day or we give one practice and the guy the next one that Brock's not there.
All right, so he's talking about Trey Lance and Sam Darnold most likely getting even split. It may not be that way every day. Hey, media, don't lose your mind. If Sam gets more one day, Trey might get more the next day. But even Steven and as a coaching staff, we will discuss that in the coming days. How does that mere idea grab you?
it grabs me as like alleviating a lot of the stress that Kyle Shanahan's going to have to go through in terms of can Brock Purdy be ready for week 1? But it adds into the mix a whole big question mark of who's going to be QB2 because he wants to divide it up as evenly as possible. And Brandon Allen got a shout out as well. So feels to me like you've got 3 for 2, the old NBA 3 to make 2, where you'd get fouled and you have 3 free throw attempts to make 2 free throw makes. And that's kind of what this feels like to me. He's got 3 quarterbacks, and out of the 3, he's got to find 2 that are going to be QB2 and QB3. And if Trey Lance is not going to be QB2, well, then now we got a real interesting August ahead of us.
Well, so you mentioned Brandon Allen getting a shout out. Let's let everybody know what you're talking about, because here's Kyle Shanahan when asked, hey, what is the challenge with splitting up reps between backup quarterbacks?
There's more musical chairs with just one guy not always there. Going to take some days off. The fact that I was planning, because I was trying to be safe, that we'd have still a couple weeks before Brock came back. So the thought was always that we would just keep it going the same with Trey and I'm Sam. But I always was ready that this could happen. So the fact that this did happen is good. But, Brandon came on and did a really good job in OTAs. So that's, to me, what makes it a little bit harder, how to fit in a 4th guy. But he earned that. So that's what we're going to have to figure out as a staff with reps and everything. The 1s and 2s, pretty much, they get the same reps. So it's not a problem with the 1s and 2s. The 3s are the ones who don't get as much. I keep reminding Brock, who's might be stressed out, he's missing today or something. I keep reminding him all he got were 3 reps last year for like the first month. So he's going to have a lot more reps regardless of what happens this year. But that's now we got to figure out for the 2s, because Sudfeld got those mainly with the 2s last year. Now we're going to split those up with those guys, and I know that'll bleed into the 3s. But when it's said and done, hopefully it'll balance out. I know we're going to give them all an op, and that's also why those preseason games will probably be a little bit more for those guys too than they have been in the past.
Dibs, he brings up Brandon Allen and goes, he did a really good job in OTAs. And he, quote, earned some reps out there in our August practices. Listen, we've now listened to all of this a few times, and we've spent weeks hearing people say, look, don't you owe it to Trey Lance to see what he's got? He's a number 3 overall pick in the draft, and you moved 3 years' worth of draft capital in order to select him. Don't you owe it to Trey Lance to see what he's got as your 1? The 49ers have now made moves all offseason and now used their words to say, not only are we not going to promise him the 1, we're not even going to promise him the 2. And on the way out the door, we're going to tell you how much we love our 4.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, you're implying that they haven't gotten a look at Trey Lance, and this is what all fans are missing. They see 95 to 99% more than what we think that we see. So they already know what they know about Trey Lance. That's what I hear Kyle Shanahan saying.
I hear that we're out
on Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
That's what I hear.
You can't be out on Trey Lance unless you have a taker for Trey Lance.
Right. They may need him. It doesn't mean they're going to cut him. It doesn't mean they're going to trade him. But they're not even going to make him the 2.
We'll see.
A lot of people believe that they just flat owe it to him to make him the 1. They won't even make him the 2. They might not even make him the 3. It's wild, man. And it's tough hand for Trey, but all I can tell you is what I hear.